Welcome back to Winning Isn't Easy. Let's talk about the three types of treatment in an ERISA disability claim that you're expected to get if you have Moyamoya disease. Now, this holds true regardless of the nature of your medical condition, but I think even so more with chronic conditions, particularly if the carrier has accepted the claim, they're paying benefits, and then they decide to stop paying benefits. I mean, I've seen and had cases where clients have been on claim for 10, 15 years, and all of a sudden, based on a peer review, the carrier says you've improved, heavens knows how, and you can go back to doing any type of occupation based on your education, your training, and whatever restrictions, limitations we think are applicable. So this is a game generally played in chronic medical conditions. Now, the diagnosis of any chronic medical condition, be it Moyamoya, PD, Parkinson's, dementia, you name it, they can be devastating. And it's the progression of the disease and the complications that can lead to the ERISA disability claim. Disability policies or plans require that you get reasonable and appropriate medical treatment, and that's a requirement to continue to get your disability benefits. If you don't get appropriate care by a specialist, if you don't get reasonable care based on the level of severity, if you're not compliant with the medical care, that failure in and of itself can be the reason for a denial of the claim without them even getting to the issue of whether or not you're disabled. And a Moyamoya claim is no different. So in the case of a Moyamoya claim, the carrier is going to expect medication. For example, if you've had seizure because of Moyamoya, they're going to expect that you're taking anticonvulsant medication to prevent further seizures. If you had a stroke, they're going to expect that you would have gotten blood thinners to decrease the risk of your stroke. If you have a medical condition that can be treated by surgery, the disability carrier will expect that you either had that or there's a darn good reason why you haven't had it. So let's say, for example, you have cluster headaches, which is a progressive condition. One of the recommendations for treatment is deep brain stimulation surgery. They can't make you have that surgery, but they want to understand why you didn't have the surgery. So in the case of Moyamoya, you will be expected to have undergone revascularization surgery if your brain scan shows low blood flow. If you're at risk for a brain aneurysm, the carrier might review your records to see whether you've gotten surgery to prevent or treat the ruptured aneurysm and the results of that surgery. The third thing they will generally look for in medical records is therapy. Now, that could be physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy. And if you've had cognitive complications, the carrier is going to expect that you will have had neurocognitive testing to corroborate your complaints, for example, of memory loss or problems with executive functioning, and cognitive behavioral therapy. So you can see at every level of the progression of a disease or a disabling condition, they're going to expect a certain level of treatment. They're going to expect compliance, and they're going to expect that treatment rises to a level, if you will, that correlates with your severity of your claimed medical condition. Many times that's one of their favorite defenses is, you can't be in as much pain as you say you are. You can't have as many cognitive problems as you say you have, or you can't have this or that because you're not getting a level of care. Now, a level of care, by the way, that's commensurate with what you're claiming that you're disabled. So in other words, you can't be in as much pain because you're not getting a lot of treatment. That's not true. And disability carriers will still seize on that. Now, you may have a situation where you don't react well to medication. The disability carrier is going to expect that you have tried different types of medication or treatments or therapies with a report of your response to that and why it's necessary to try a different kind of therapeutic treatment, and then your response to that. The other game that you have to really be aware of in terms of this medical treatment issue is the game of the mental nervous limitation. Well, what do I mean by that? Because your medical condition is organic. there's a scan that shows you have PD or Parkinson's, or you've got Moyamoya based on scans. What the disability carriers will do is they will apply one of two condition or terms in a disability policy to this case. You might have a subjective medical condition limitation that says if your medical condition is characterized by pain, limited range of motion, or list conditions like migraines or fibromyalgia, and it's a laundry list, benefits are limited to just 2 years. So the disability carrier will try to seize on subjective symptoms, even though you have an objective diagnosis. And they'll do that to limit benefits to just 2 years. The other thing that they will do is to apply a mental nervous limitation, particularly if the mental nervous policy limitation says, hey, benefits are limited to just 2 years if a psychiatric condition like depression or anxiety has caused or contributed to your disability. It's that contributed to, what I call the Monty Python wafer thin contribution, that can limit benefits to just 2 years. Because legitimately, you're depressed. It doesn't matter if you've got a back injury, Moyamoya, MS, PD, fibromyalgia, you name it, you probably are depressed. And if you have a disability policy that limits benefits to just 2 years based on that contribution language, there's a potential problem, a problem that potentially also can be addressed and solved. But you need to know that now, because that goes to the carrier toolbox of reasons, if you will, that a claim can be denied. You haven't gotten appropriate treatment by an appropriate person at a level that is consistent with your complaints. And by the way, you're depressed. And so we're going to sneak in as a defense that mental nervous condition, or say, hey, it's all subjective. We're limiting benefits to just 2 years. So I hope you understand the games that can be played just based on the expectation that you get treatment. Let's take a break.